right, good afternoon, everybody. Let's to begin, let's go ahead and get a web browser open. You can start on the home page. You can start on Campus Guides. I'm just going to start on the home page just so I can show you how to get there, just in case you are not sure. So everybody open up your browser. We'll start on the home page. And from here, what you want to do is under My Account, you should see a link under Staff Information that just says Intranet. And if you select that link, voila, you should be in Campus Guides. And hopefully it loads up for you. Is everybody in Campus Guides? Yes? All right, cool. So first thing we're going to do is log in. There are two different ways that you can log in. I'm going to show you both of them. The first way is just the same way we got here. Under My Account, you will see a drop-down menu, and the very bottom of that menu is something that says Lib Apps.
Oh, guys, make sure you're in.
If you're not sure, just go back to the home page, and I'll go ahead and do that again just to make sure if anybody was a little lost there. Whoops.
My Account.
Let's get back to the library homepage, My Account, and then Intranet. This is where you need to go. So, and then once we get to Campus Guides, we're going to go down here, and it says Lib Apps. Now, for those of you that remember when we did this before, Lib Apps is the new SpringShare portal for everything. So, eventually, all of your SpringShare products, you will log in this same place. So, Campus Guides, Lib Guides, Lib Answers, LibCal, for those of you that are using it, all of that will be in one place. At the moment, the only thing we have that is part of the version 2 that you get in this manner is Campus Guides. So go ahead and click on the little link here for Lib Apps SpringShare login, and you should see a page that looks like this.
But when I signed into it, it signed me into Lib Guides, not Campus Guides.
Well, that's, yeah, you're in the right place.
Jeremy, do the last one.
Oh, so you should see something like this. Now, one thing I would like to point out here, and this is because all of us at some point have trouble with passwords, and many of you have emailed me recently about passwords.
An hour ago.
I do not have access to your password. No administrator does. Those are encrypted. They're protected. I can't see what your password is. I can't see what anybody's password is. So if you don't know your password, if you've forgotten it or you've lost it, or if you just want a new one, you can use this link right here that says Reset Password, and that'll get you fixed up right away. So you don't have to contact us or do anything else other than just use the reset. So everybody go ahead and log in.
May I ask a question?
You sure can. Paul, you have a question? This is where, and I talked about this before, this is where things get a little confusing, and this is because of the way we are implementing things. The program that we use for Campus Guides is called LibGuides. That's why it says LibGuides Dashboard, because even though we are calling it Campus Guides, SpringShare calls all of this LibGuides. So when you log in, it's going to say LibGuides, but if you are ever confused or unsure about where you are, this right here is going to tell you you're in Campus Guides, or at least that's where I am, and that should be where all of you are. Yeah. Well, what I was going to show you is if you click up here, this is going to show you all the SpringShare products. Now, there's many more on mine than are on yours because I'm working with some new stuff. But you'll see it says LibGuides, and you'll see for me right now I have two different things listed under LibGuides. You probably only have one, right? Yours under LibGuides, it says unf.campusguides.com. That's all you need to worry about.
All it says is LibGuides.
It just says LibGuides. Okay. See, I didn't realize it said something different. Okay. When we move to LibGuides 2, you will have two things listed here. One of them will probably say Campus Guides and one will say LibGuides. But for now, you don't need to worry about that. Just know that even though it says LibGuides, you're in Campus Guides. I know it's confusing. And believe me, I wish it were otherwise, but there isn't another way to do this right now. So All right, so is everybody at least clear? You're on the dashboard. You're where you need to go. Okay. Couple things. We talked a little bit before about profiles. This box here on the side. Does anybody remember where or how you get to that to actually edit it?
You're talking about the right-hand side?
Yeah, this guy right here that should have your name, all that good stuff. Go ahead and click up here where I'm at, where it says LibGuides in the top left corner, so you get this good list of stuff. You'll see at the top where it says Lib Apps. And remember, Lib Apps is going to be the central portal for all product SpringShare. Even though it's just this for right now, this box will carry over to all of our future SpringShare products as well. So to edit that, we actually need to go to Lib Apps. So go ahead and click on this, and then select Lib Apps at the top of the menu. And then you should see something that looks, well, probably not exactly like this, because again, I have some weird things that you don't have. But it should be at least pretty similar, okay? What you really should notice is that this menu up here at the top has now changed. You still see Home, but you see My Account, and then you see My Profile, and then you see Image Manager, and you see Help. So where do you think you go to fix your profile?
My profile.
Well done. So go ahead and select My Profile, and now you should see something that looks like this, only without my picture on it. From here, you can edit any of your profile information that you wish to choose to do. So you see there's this profile box tab, then there's a LibGuides profile box tab, and then there's a profile page preview. Well, page preview is exactly what it says. It's just going to give you a preview of what your box would look like, but it's not actually working right now, so don't worry about that. We're just going to worry about this profile box tab, okay? Everything you need to do, you can do from right here. So you'll see we have these various headings. Right off the top, we have profile box title. Do not touch this, okay? I mean, it's not the end of the world if you do, but all that does is that when the box is published, you'll see over here, if you look on mine, it says at the top, Guide Author. That's just what it's going to say. If you wanted it to say something else for some reason, this is where you would edit it, but there's no need to do that, so don't worry about it. Now here, profile image. You'll notice there's a couple of different options here. Right now, mine is set to display my current profile image, which is this handsome fellow right here. Underneath that, you have an option that says, do not display a customized profile image. So if I do that, my picture disappears and I get the little gray guy. So we do need to have an image there, but it does not have to be a picture of yourself. You can put any sort of... This is only internal. Only library people will be seeing this. So obviously work appropriate images, but beyond that, it doesn't really matter. So how do you get an image here? Well, that's what this third option is here. You see this, it says upload a new profile image. If I click on that, I am now going to get this neat little box that says select new image. If I click on this box, I am now going to get a dialog to upload an image from the computer. Now, if you have an image with you and you want to do this right now, by all means, go ahead and do it. So I'm gonna back out here just to show you how we got to here again, okay? So under profile image, we're going to select upload a new profile image. Then we're going to select the box, select new image, and then you should be getting your folders on your computer, and from here you just have to find wherever you stored your image. I'll give you a minute or so to work through this. Does anybody need some help? Let's go ahead and move on to the next part of this, okay? So you've got the image taken care of. Now there are other things that we can do here. Now, for now, we're not going to worry about anything under widgets. When we move to LibGuides, for those of us that are involved in LibGuides, we will get into widgets, but we don't need to worry about that now. Contacts and social, this is entirely up to you. There's a general tab where you can put in your phone number, you can put in your email address, you can put in your Skype, you can put in a link to a website or a blog, whatever you want to put in here, and most of that is what appears under this contact information. And then you see this big email me button, so it reads your email address off of that. You also have a social media area where you can put in links to Facebook, LinkedIn, and that's where you see these things on my profile. That's where this is coming from. If you are into any of these social cataloging things like Shelfari, library thing, you can add those to your profile as well. But that's where you do this. You just go in here, you click on a box, like if I click on one that says empty, it's just going to give me now a text field to enter whatever it is that I want to appear there. So if I just put in, I don't know, if I could type, when I click the little check mark, well, of course, it's not liking it because it's not a valid URL, but you get the idea. You put in your information, click the little check mark, and you're good to go. So now that you have happy profiles, you need to put them on something, right? So let's go back to Campus Guides. If we go back up to our main menu here and click on where it says Lib Apps, we get our list. And for you guys, I guess it says LibGuides. For me, it says Campus Guides. But go ahead and get yourself back to the Campus Guides / LibGuides dashboard, which should look something like this. Only now, if you have put anything in your profile, you should see it there. So here's our main dashboard. The most important thing for you to be aware of right now is how to create a guide. Well, that's pretty easy. Very first item on our list here with a big plus sign, create guides. So let's go ahead and create a new guide right now. Go ahead and click on it. And then you should see a screen that looks like this. Create guide. Everybody there? All right. The first thing we have is group assignment. For the purposes of what we are doing right now, all these guides will be public services. So go ahead and choose public services for your group. And if you notice, these groups are just the various departments in the library, so nothing too tricky there. Now, it says apply a template. If you see right here, it says start fresh, and then there's a little drop down here. It says select one of the available templates to apply to this guide. If you click on this arrow, you're going to get a list. Okay? There are currently 5 templates in the system. You only need to worry about one. Okay? The only template that you will be using for what you guys are doing right now is under tabs layout, the standard guide layout UNF. Is everybody with me? What's the matter?
I want to have my tabs on the side.
Okay.
So
Well,
I
I don't know if for the purposes of what you guys wanted them doing, if you care.
it should be fine.
Okay. Then if you want to do the side, that's fine. Then use the side nav layout UNF. That's totally fine. For the demonstration, I'm just going to use the standard guide, but if you want, and I'll explain the difference between those after I pull it up if you're curious, but it just has to do with whether you want the tabs across the top of the page or the tabs on the side. It does not matter. You can choose whichever you like. Okay. So everyone should have something that either says standard guide layout UNF or side nav layout UNF. If you are confused about layouts, if there's anything that you should remember, it's choose a layout that has UNF in it. If it does not have UNF on it, don't use it. Okay? It's not that those other layouts will fail, but they are not updated. They will not be as current as the UNF layouts. They will not have all of the information in them that we want in our guides. Okay. Go ahead down where it says guide name, and at this point, choose a name for your guide.
Can it be changed later?
It absolutely can. Every single thing that we do here, that's a good question, can be changed after we have, any of these things can be changed in the future. So you're not set into anything. Although I would say that you should decide on the template. If you want to change the template once we get past this point, you can, but it causes some goofiness. So decide on your template before you create the guide just to avoid some problems later. You can recover from changing it, but it's going to be more challenging. So, yes, sure.
Going to be, I know it's going to be reading campus guides eventually, not LibGuides, but are these permanent guides that we will be able to?
You can. It's totally up to you.
Okay.
You can take.
Delete these?
Absolutely. You can take what we create right now and use that as the foundation for the guide that you're going to build, or you can delete it and start over. Whatever you choose to do. Yes?
If you start with the tabs across the top.
What will happen is that the system will get confused and it will move things. It can be fixed, but it will create more work for you. Okay, it can absolutely be done. But if you know ahead of time, it's probably best to just stick with one. In fact, I'll show you what happens when we switch. When I make this one, I'll switch it to the other type when we're finished, and you'll see how it kind of screws it up. So, okay. Underneath this, you have a short description. It is absolutely essential that you put in a description, because on the main Campus Guide page where it lists all the guides, it will have a little information icon, and if you don't put a description in it, then nobody will know what it is. So it's very helpful. For training purposes, it doesn't matter what you put in here, but and actually I'm going to date this because I'm always creating training guides and I want to know which one I'm doing here. So. And this can absolutely be changed later, so if you just put in a description that says something the effect of blah, blah, blah for right now, that's totally fine, and you can change that to something more appropriate when you go back into this later. Okay. This next area here we have, it says password. Don't worry about that. This is only if you were trying to, you can password protect a guide so that nobody else can ever see it. But for the purposes of what we're doing, we don't need to worry about that. Understand, that's not the same as if the guide is not published, nobody else can see it either. This password is only for published guides. In fact, I will tell you right now, there are only 3 campus guides that are password protected, and all of them are search committee guides that relate to hiring people. That's it. There's nothing else in here that's password protected, so there's not really a reason to do that. Last, guide type. It's defaulted to general purpose, and for now, that's what it's going to remain. At some day in the future, we may use these types, but all you need to know is don't worry about that. All right? Sharing restrictions. Well, what does this mean? When you create a guide and publish it, if other people like a box on your guide, it is possible to take that box and copy it to yours. If you don't want people to copy your boxes, you can change this sharing restriction to disabled, and then sharing restriction to enabled, which then enables the restriction so that nobody can steal your boxes. Not sure that there's any reason to do that, but the option is there. So for now, I would just leave it at the default disabled. Frankly, if you create a box that's that interesting that other people want to use it, I would think you'd be happy that other people were using it. So, okay.
That's really confusing, those terms.
Yeah, that's why my suggestion is just ignore it. It would be better if it just said sharing enabled or disabled instead of sharing restriction enabled or disabled. Yeah, exactly. It's a double negative. So, in any event. All right, let's go ahead and click on Create Guide. And you should now see something that looks like this, unless you chose side nav, in which case you'll see something that looks a little different with tabs down the side. You should see your profile in there if you added some information to it. If you didn't, then you probably have the little gray man or outline of a vaguely human figure. It may not show up on the side nav template. I'm not sure if that was coded into there or not, so not a big deal. We can fix that. Well, because the side nav template doesn't have as many columns, and that's why it gets confused when you switch back and forth. Because with your side nav, you have your tabs and you have like one column. Here we have 2 columns, so it has a column for the profile. If you look up at the top here, here's the title of your guide. You see how this is all underlined up here? What that means is that if I click on it, I get a little box, and I can edit it right here. So here was my description. If I don't like this description, I can click on this box, and I can go ahead and I can edit it right now. Hit the little check mark, and now my description's changed. All of these boxes operate that way. Do you see the little pencil icons next to some of these pieces of information? You can also edit these guys where it has a little pencil. So you see here URL. We have this http unf.campusguides.com/ a bunch of gibberish, right? Well, if we want to change that, I can click on the little pencil here, and this is how we do a smart URL. If you notice, it shows us unf.campusguides.com/, but now it's wiped out all this gibberish, right? I can type in whatever I want here, and now this will be the URL. So I'm going to say training guide. This is going to be a really long, stupid one just to show you how it works. No spaces. No spaces, no dots, no funny symbols, just letters and numbers.
Oh, and numbers?
Yeah, you could use numbers if you want.
How did you get that thing where you could just start over?
A little pencil icon, any place with a little pencil like this, if you click on it, it brings up a dialog box so that you can change these.
Oh, okay, I thought it was the...
Or if there's not a tool, you just click on the line.
Yeah, you'll either see, I don't know why it's different. It would have been nice if they'd have just standardized it so that all of them had the little pencil. But if you see the dotted line or the pencil, that means, hey, you can edit this and put in whatever you want. Now, for you guys, the one that's most important out of these is subject. Now, right now, mine says none. But if I click on the little pencil here, first it's going to give me a box that just looks like this. All right? But if I click on the box field here, now I see I have a drop-down menu. These are all the subjects that are already in Campus Guides. Now, as for which subject you choose, well, that depends what your guide is. If you work in Access Services and you are creating a guide about how to do something in Access Services, then you want to choose Access Services for your subject. Does that make sense? If you are upstairs in Media and Periodicals,
I found it.
you found periodicals/media. There you go. Does that make sense to everybody?
I can
So
create one of my own too, can I?
you cannot create your own subject. Good question though. You are restricted to the subjects that we have. Now, if you think there's a subject that we should have that's not in there, by all means let me know and we can get it added if we think we have a need for it. Well, and you can actually choose more than one subject. So we could, for example, and I don't know that I don't think we have one for interlibrary loan. But you could theoretically have more than one subject. The other thing that you can do though, and I'm going to go ahead and leave these subjects. If you see this area that says tags, tags you can control. You can tag however you want. So you could tag it ILL, which would still help people, or end tag it or spell out interlibrary loan or whatever. For now, the part that you need to be concerned with is the subjects. Okay, the tags are nice, but if the tags aren't working for you, don't worry about it. I'll have to do some exploration and see what's going around with the tags because I haven't had any problems with that. All right, so let's go back to subjects. Does everybody understand how that works to choose a subject? All right, let's move on to the actual guide itself. you'll see you have all these areas where you can add boxes. See where it says add bottom box, add box column 1, add top box, add box column 2. Any place you want to add a box, you just click on the little where it says add a box. Before we do that, though, we're going to talk about pages. Right now, everybody should have one tab, and it probably says home, right? To add another tab, whether it's horizontal going down the top, going across the top, or whether you've chosen the side nav, it's going to be the same way. You're just going to click on the little plus sign, and now it's going to ask us what information we want to put on our new page. So let's go ahead and have everybody add another tab. Click on the plus sign, whether you're on the side nav or the regular tab across the top. And when you click on that plus sign, now we just put in our information. First it says page type. Well, just stick to regular. There's no other type right now, so that's already done for you. Page name, whatever you want this tab to be called. I'm just going to call this tab number 2 since this is the second tab. You also have the option to put in a description. Put in a short description. You can change this later. You can change this later too. For individual pages, it is not as important. I would say no, you probably don't have to put in a description for a page. It's not the same as the description for the whole guide. So, but that doesn't mean that it won't be helpful, because the search algorithms for LibGuides 2 are much more advanced than the original one. So it will pick up on your description in search results and show your page tab and your description on search results. So it's probably not a bad thing to do, but it's not something that I would require, at least not for this. Okay. For position, don't worry about that. That's just going to cause more confusion than it needs to. Profile box, you'll see that it defaults to do not display. We already have our profile box on the front page, so maybe we don't want it on every page, and that's how it's going to default. If you do want it on every page, well, then you can just change it, and you can say display the guide owner, and it will put it in there. All right, so basically what you really need to do is name it. That is the one thing that absolutely you must do in here. The rest is not so important. So we'll go ahead and save. And there you go. Now I have another tab. So we've got a home tab, and I've got an access services tab. And you'll notice access services tab does not have my profile because I told it not to put it there. Okay? So we have 2 pages to our guide. They're both basically blank at the moment, but we have 2 pages. All right, now we need to put some information into our new guide. So you can choose any box you want. Doesn't matter. The procedure is going to be exactly the same. I'm just going to start with this box right here so that I have a nice row with my profile in my box. You notice this top box runs the whole width of the page. So that's one whole header for your page if you want that. This box only covers 2/3 of the page basically, and then the profile box covers the other third. But it doesn't matter. You can organize this however you like. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this add box and go ahead. Procedures. Okay. So when you click add box, you should get something that looks like this. You have 2 tabs up here, create new box and reuse existing box. Don't worry about this one. All we're worried about is create new box. Okay? So, box name, procedures. Okay. Next we have this where it says box type. There are a variety of types. You don't need to worry about this. Standard is going to do everything that you need to do. Okay? Position, top of the column. You don't need to change that unless you wanted to move it somewhere else, and that would only apply if you had multiple boxes in a row and you were creating a new one and decided that you didn't want it at the bottom but wanted to move it somewhere else. So really all you need to do is name your box and hit save. Once you create your box and hit save, then you should see procedures and sort of a gray background, and then you should have this guy under here that looks sort of like a gear, and it'll say add/reorder, right? Okay, you notice what do we have up here? another one of those little pencils. So if we want to change the name of our box, guess what? We just click on the pencil and there we go, and we can change the name if we want. So, putting information into our box. That's what this guy's for. If we click on this, you're going to get a drop-down menu with a long list of things. There are only a few of these things that are important to you. The first and most important is the very top of the list where it says rich text /HTML. What that really is a fancy way of saying is word processor. Okay? If you click on this rich text /HTML box, you're going to get something that looks very much like a simplified sort of version of Microsoft Word. Once you do this, you can then type in whatever you want. So, all right, I can do the same sorts of things that we can do in a word processor. I can make this bold. I can center it, you know, whatever. It's just a very basic editor, okay? When I hit save and close, here's my text in the box. All right, now, what are some other things that we need to know how to do? Well, how about adding a document? You may have some documents that you want to add into your box. Well, there's a variety of ways to do that. The easiest one for you guys is going to be to click on this and look at the menu here. What do you think? We want to choose to add a document. Document file. See, not too tricky, right? So if I click on document file, I'm going to get a box that looks like this. Once again, this is another box with a lot of information and tabs that really are not important to you. The only parts that are important are what we're going to talk about now. One, document title. Give a name to your document. So let's just call it procedures for opening. I don't know. Description on your document is more important here because this will actually publish on the page. So now it may be obvious by the title what the document is, but sometimes it's not always obvious. So I'm going to type description, this document. The description will actually appear in the guide underneath the document file to explain to people what it is. I'll show you. It'll make more sense when we put it in here. Because you'll see I have options here. Description display. I can display the description beneath the title on the page, or I can actually set it for a hover over so that people will just see the document file, and when they mouse over it, it'll give them the description. We can also just add an icon next to it with the description, or we can hide it. I don't think anybody cares what method you use. I'm going to use the icon description just to show you how this works. So, now, how does the file get there? Well, we see this guy. It says attach file. Now, you'll notice under here it says a 10 megabyte maximum. If you try to upload a file that's more than 10 megabytes, it's not going to happen. 10 megabytes is probably sufficient for any sort of Word type documents that you might have. I can't say for sure that anybody has documents larger than that, but probably not. If you come across a problem where you have a document related to your guide and it won't load for some reason, let me know, and if it's too big, we'll figure something out. So, select file. This is exactly the same way as what you did when you put your image up here. It's going to open up the files on your computer, and I'm just going to pick a random document here, which happens to be a PowerPoint presentation, which might be too big. Well, we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and open it, and we'll see what happens. And once again, it's asking for a password. You could load documents up here and password protect them if you wanted to. There's no reason to do that, so don't worry about it. And now I'm going to hit save. And now it should be trying to upload my document, and we'll see if it was too big. Yep, it was too big. And actually, what does it say 5? Oh, 10%.
This is just if you want to.
Let me go back. Yeah, now it says change because it might be that your document was too big. So I'm going to go ahead and just load this little crummy empty Word document that I just made. Okay, so here's my document. Here's the name of my document, which I just named document, but you can name whatever you want. And now you see I have this little eye icon because I chose to use that for my description. So when I move the mouse over it, it shows me the description. We don't have to do it that way. I'm going to add another document here. I'm going to add it again just to show you another way to do this. So we'll call this test document 2. We'll put in a description. And this time we'll tell it to display the description beneath the item. Okay? And I'm going to find that same crummy file in here. Save. And now, instead of hovering over it, the description just appears underneath the document name. Okay, one last thing that we need to cover is how to put a link in your guide. So once again, we're going to go and click on our little add reorder in the gearbox, and if we want to add a link, hey, check that out. Link. Go ahead and select link, and basically you're just filling in the blanks again. So we need to give our link a name. So I'm going to say UNF Library. And we need a URL. Now you'll see where it says window target. Anybody know what that means? Basically, it's just a way of saying I want this link to open in a new window or I want it to stay here. It doesn't matter. I think it's better to open it in a new window because if somebody's looking at your guide and they click a link and they want to go back, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to say open it in a new window. Don't worry about proxy. This has nothing to do with a normal link. That's only for databases, and we're not doing that, so don't worry about it. Description, once again, we can describe our link. And then once again, we still have this same option as with documents, description display. We can have it show underneath the link. We can have it hover over, or we can have the little eye icon.
Not yet. I didn't try it.
Yeah, it doesn't like it without the HTTP. So there we go. Now we have a link, and if I click on this, theoretically, it'll take me to the library homepage. Woohoo, it worked. The easiest way is probably just copy and paste your link into the link generator, but really it's almost exactly the same as using a document. It's just a question of filling in the blanks. Does anybody have any questions about any of the things that we've covered? We know how to add links. We know how to add documents. We know how to create a new tab. We understand how to edit the information. We can use the little pencil, or we can just click on the line.
So how do you pose your link above your documents if you want them in a different position?
Oh, good question. Well, this guy under here, see how it says add, but it also says reorder?
Right.
If I click on this, down at the bottom, you see where it says reorder content? If you click on that, it then puts them in a format like this where I can move these things around. I can drag and drop and change the order if I want to.
Excellent.
Okay? Good question. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you going to show us how to delete these so that we can start one, delete it, start one, and delete it?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Up here in the top right,
Oh, it's up. I see. We're all the way up there.
you'll see this little gear icon. At the very bottom, delete this guide. Delete it, and it's gone forever.
Cool.
Okay? Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, if you come across any problems while you're working on guides, you can always email me, and I'll try and help you as best I can. If you're trying to do something in your guide that we haven't talked about, or like you mentioned something, sure. If there's something you want to do that doesn't seem obvious that it can do, just let me know because I can probably make it do that for you. So, It's a pretty customizable system, so if you've seen it on a web page, it can happen in here. How do you change the title of a tab? If you go down here, it's somewhere on this page menu. I thought it was, but I don't see it here now. Maybe. No. It can certainly be done.
Page property.
Where's that?
Under page.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, duh. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Page properties.
I'm not even paying attention. I know this
Shush.
is better than you.
Hey. Excuse me.
Making the rest of us feel good. Okay.
And such a pleasant attitude about it. Okay, one last thing I just want to cover real quick. Top right corner, you see this big red. It says unpublished. This is where you change the status. So if I want to change it to published, I just click on published, update guide status, done. If I want to make it unpublished, I can take it right back to unpublished. Absolutely, you can reorder pages, you can do all that stuff. We just kind of touched the main things that you have to do, but by all means you can do those other things, and feel free to play in there and figure them out. All right, well, thank you, everybody. Good luck with your guides. If you need any help, let me know. I'll be happy to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.